For many reasons, this video today is going to be one of the most important videos I've ever produced and shared with all of you. One of those reasons is that it's going to be the first in a series of videos where we're looking and preparing for how we're going to exit Bitcoin during this bull market phase. Another is that because it's produced through the joint effort of many within the Conquering the Markets community, and I am proud to work together, be using everyone's resources to work together to go ahead and meet our collective goals over here. We're going to start over here with this chart over here. This is the chart that Patrick shared with us. At the time he shared it, I didn't actually know that it was Patrick's work. I'm entirely grateful for it. I think that it is absolutely fantastic. It is also the timing at which Patrick shared this with us that set up the timing for all this. It is about 9 months or so until we're expecting the peak of the bull market, and now is the time that we need to start looking about what our exits are going to be looking like. We also, as you know, are discerning whether or not we're looking at a double wave type cycle or more one resembling one wave that we saw in the last cycle. This chart, this log scale on the weekly, sets up all of that for us. Will has gone ahead and added this work over here. We're going to be taking a look at that. He also pointed out the difference between the two models, as well as gave us a close-up view over here. I went ahead yesterday. I started going ahead to see what we wanted to do and added my lines. I'm going to share with you how I did that and what I have here. And then we have this chart over here by Adam, which just brought all of this to the next level. We're going to finish with that. All of this, we're going to take a look at starting with Patrick's chart. Again, just a huge thank you, Patrick, for contributing to the community, for sharing this chart with us, for laying out the groundwork over here. The question comes up, is there anything wrong with the work that you have done? And I have to say no. It's an absolute critical piece of what we'll be doing. Why I say that? Because every single of the 4 different log charts that I'm presenting, we will use and refer to together. Here's the thing, they're all models, and we don't have the correct model. All models will be broken. We use them all together to collectively figure out where we are at a given time. So it's absolutely essential that you shared this with us. We're grateful for it. We've looked into this one extensively. We're going to go ahead and move forward now. Take a brief look at Will's. Will's work was a little bit different. The angle is really what is different. And Will gone ahead and he's shared some updated targets over here. We'll look at those in a second. But he went ahead and shared the difference between the two models. By the way, $270,000 in September. Does that seem reasonable about something that we are targeting? Of course. Could that continue to break out to the upside? Of course. Is September 21st going to be the height of the bull market? Who knows? Right? It could be earlier, it could be right around there, or it could be later into October, November, or even December. We're going to follow what is happening in the markets. And this video over here is just the first piece of this new series that I'm going to be producing, preparing us for all type of exits and what we'll be exiting into. So Will went ahead and shared the difference between the top line resistance on the 2 Bitcoin models. When we say 2 Bitcoin models, we're talking about Patrick's work over here. By the way, in the description of this video, you will find a download link for each of these charts shared today. And over here, then you have Will's model over here. Here you can see the comparison of the two. Okay, this is really helpful. Thank you, Will, for really going above and beyond and going ahead and cleaning up all this work for us. Again, these charts can be found in the description below for you. Now over here, Will has this zoomed in, right? This is just zoomed in of this chart over here. And we can see over here the different take profits into these trend lines over here. There's nothing I could say or add. I needed to go ahead and do this myself. And I have to be honest, it was not an easy exercise to go out and do. When I say that, it took me a little while to figure out where to place the prime trend line. I'm going to come back to that in 1 second, but you see Will does have this prime trend line at the same angle that I'm using over here. The hard part was definitely over here during the liquidity crisis. We could see the differences in the two angles. I'm going to consult all of them as we move up. Obviously, I know where I'm leading, but I am grateful for all the work shared. That is the essence of this community that we have created. It was going ahead at the inception of this, of when I started doing the YouTube videos. And we used to, for months, the same 30 people work together every day. I said over and over again, one of the main reasons I'm doing this One of the main reasons that I'm doing this, I believe that the more insight I share with my 20-year career to all of you, the more that I help build all of you up, and then our collective knowledge increases, it'll become this feedback loop where we'll be able to continue to raise all of our levels, all of our game, and work together to meet our mutual goals. You could see that really transpiring right now. I have to say, I am extraordinarily grateful and proud about that. Over here right now, we're looking at the different levels. We're coming into this level right now at $42,000. It is resistance. It is a place that, in my opinion, that you should not be looking to take profit. You should have learned by now that this market, the bull market phase, is not for trading. I was very clear about that in the first video, 3 ways to trade the Bitcoin bull market. We've since adapted. That started in the video shared this past week, talking about the angle that we were seeing in this current vertical move up. We talked about how it's not really yet vertical for Bitcoin, and if it continues at this rate of pace, that yes, maybe we're going to come in a little higher, a little quicker, and then maybe we're going to have to go ahead and think about actually taking some off, because the drawdown might be pretty substantial, way more than a 30% plus drawdown. But we will look at that and monitor that as that unfolds. Right now, what we're looking at is the resistance we're into here at $42,000. Be aware of it. Right above that, the next level that we're looking at is going to be this resistance in this area over here at $65,000. I'm just putting the two numbers of the next two resistance levels above us. I went ahead and actually did this myself. A couple of things. I first started trying to do this on the weekly time frame. I had a lot of difficulty. I went over to the 3-day. I still had a lot of difficulty. I tried the 15-day over here, and this was what I found to be the best time frame for me to go ahead and do this work. When I say that it was difficult, I would say that it took me where it normally takes me seconds to add in a trend line. I think it took me probably like, I don't know, maybe about 7 minutes to find out where that prime trend line belongs. That's a long time. That was what I found to be a difficult experiment. This is the line that I used over here, and this is very important. The reason why I share that with you, I feel that this is the prime trend line coming off of these peaks over here into this area of support. Now, it was breached over here, but that was during the liquidity crisis. And you can see over here, using the time frame that I was using, it happened to be the bodies of these candles as well. I'm very happy with that line. I don't know that it's correct. And like I said earlier in this video, I will be consulting all 4 of these log charts, Bitcoin trend lines that we have over here going forward, so that we continue to do our best just to have that awareness of where we are. And by the way, I can't wait to get to Adams over here. Right now, though, over here, first thing I did was added that in. The next thing I did, I just want to show you what I did, was I went ahead after I had that first prime trend line in that I was using. And then I did something that I've never done before. You all know my cloning work and how I clone trend lines because of the symmetry in the markets. Absolutely essential for any TA. But I clone these lines over here, and as I clone them, I let them automatically populate where they went. I don't know how I didn't adjust any of my TradingView settings. I don't know. I can't refer you how to do it yourself. All is I know that I let them automatically populate and kept cloning the top trend line and then automatically populating over here. And that is how I did it. I didn't try to do it myself. Now, I have read before, and I don't know where, TradingView talks about actually how and why they do that. I really don't know. I really don't care. Right? You all know that I don't care about why so much as about what is. And I don't honestly have the time to go ahead and figure out exactly what TradingView is doing it and why. I just had to share with you that I did not manually place these trend lines in over here. It's the first time that I've never done that. And I think it's the right time to not do that. This is the trend line work that I have. It's a little bit different, obviously, than what we're looking at over here in Will's model. I'm not saying which one is right and which one is wrong at all. I'm going to consult them both. If you look at this one over here, we're into that $42,000 trend line. This is why we will continue consulting all models. By the way, let's look at the first one over here at Patrick's. Patrick has over here right now, that's about 53,500, that next trend line over here. I do want to come to mine, and I want to zoom in over here now to the 12-hour. Let's take a closer look. Let's see what's going on over here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can get a feel of how these lines are operating, what they're doing. Again, I'm not trying to say that these are correct, but I'm going to consult them with you and be using them as a guide. side, you can see over here this last trend line, once it broke out, it was confirmed twice as support. Over here right now in real time, we've broken above, right, that 36,800 trend line and have actually started confirming that as support as well. Interesting, right? Interesting only because it gives us just greater awareness of what we're looking at and what's next. Using this trend lines over here, using this scale, the resistance that it comes next, right? And you could say over here, look, that's the resistance that then was confirmed to support. I see it. Over here it was support again. So interesting to consult. We're watching. That's coming in about 74,000. So just the area here is between, Will has it at 65,000 and 74,000. Now those numbers start sounding, big, 65,000 and 74,000. But if you think about it, there's not really that much of a difference as we get up there. I don't know, without doing the math, what is that? Is that a difference of about 7-8%? Right? That's one day on Bitcoin. So that's an area between that area over here that we'll be watching that comes in on Will's chart at 65,000, almost 65,750. And then on this chart over here, it's coming in around 73,600. So it's really not that much of a difference. And that's the area of resistance that we'll all be watching. And depending on how quickly and what type of angle we come into it, that will give us a little bit also of some type of guidance of what we expect to happen off of it. So whether or not right now that we've actually are coming into $42,000 resistance or have broken above 36,800 resistance and are in the process of confirming that into support, well, that's what we need to evaluate together. That's why we're going to be consulting all of these charts as we come into these critical levels often and together. I want to move forward over here to Adam's chart over here. Adam shared this yesterday in the Conquering the Markets group as well. What I want to focus on over here is the most important thing that I see off these charts. As far as the trend lines, right? It's a similar look over here. It's actually very similar to the prime line that I just showed you that I'm using the top touch over here, then coming into the support over here, and then over just below the bodies of the candle. Mine is fractionally higher placed in all areas than his is. But again, this is the same angle, so I do like that. What I want to focus in on over here, what I believe to be is crucial moving forward for all of us. That's why I saved this for last. By the way, Adam's on the 3-day. This just happens to be a higher time frame that Conquering the Market uses often. Adam, great work over there. What I want to focus on, I was actually myself over here yesterday noticing the angle of Bitcoin over here. And you all know throughout my work over the year, I've used trend lines, the angle of them, and then parabolic trend lines, right? Now, Adam took this a step further than I did in my head. I was just noticing that. And then I was noticing myself that we started coming up higher like this, right? And once we start going parabolic like this, and normally there's a third phase that's going to occur over here, and it's going to look something like this at some point, I believe, like that. Normally when you break that trend line over there, that leads to one of two things, either some sideways price action down into the closest support, or a pretty sharp sell-off into that first area of support. This is the second trend line over here, and you can see now that possibly the beginning, or this is what I was looking at, the beginning of a new angle developing over here. This is usually what I call the parabolic. I don't think Bitcoin's going parabolic into a blow-off top right now by any means or anything like that. But over here, you could see what is developing is something like this. We saw this transpire on the Euro US dollar earlier this year. We were tracking that. That's why most of you are probably familiar with this. Is this something that we could use going forward as we come closer into like a next trend line over there? And then when that parabolic line breaks, to know that we're looking for then a pullback. That's not going to be an exit. We're not looking to exit until we get higher, whether or not that's closer to $90,000 or above that. We'll be watching that together, right? Whether or not we're looking something more of that double wave approaching. Again, although price is going vertical right now, it has not really yet begun that really serious vertical melt up where we would be looking for that mid-topping pattern to occur. What I do want to focus on over here, what I think is the most important, I got off on a little bit of tangent getting into that with all of you. What I want to focus on, what I believe is the most important piece of Adam's work over here, and that's these angles he has over here of the bull market phase. When I say bull market phase, I'm talking about over here in purple, what Patrick has in purple. This is over here the bull market peak phase over here and that we've just are entering right now. Whether or not we're looking for here the top of the market in September, a little bit before September or after, that will be a whole separate video that we'll look at. That's something that we're going to play by feel as it's unfolding. But right now, what I want to take a look at is the fact that he has these angles over here. It's about a 60-degree angle over here. And you can see that this is a good guide. Why do I say guide? Right? Why do I say guide? Well, in the first two cycles, it provided a good guide, but a lot of traders, if they were so like black and white about it, they would have exited over here around $500 as price did protrude over between that trend line over there. This would have thrown a lot of traders off over here, I believe, if they were focused just on the angle, the 60-degree angle, and they saw price breach it. Now, this is why, and it was brought to my attention through the group as well, the R-Hold'll ratio over here. And this would have kept you out of a false exit of that 60-degree angle trend line over here because the R-Hold'll was not signaling that the cycle might be peaking. We looked at this at Thursday's video. If you did not watch that video, it says why I'm changing my mind on Bitcoin. That is a must watch. Do watch that video right after this one. But that explains why you would not have used, and that's why we're going to be using, as we work towards our exit, just multiple resources over here. It's not something that's black and white, such as I'm exiting on a pi cycle cross, which is one indicator that we will be using. It is a multitude of indicators. It's a multitude of experience. It's a multitude of collective work that we're going to be using to do this as best as possible. But you could see that the R-Hold'll would have kept us out of something like that spiked down over there. Interesting, it came right into the support and then regained that trend line really quick. Is this something that you know that the bull market has ended? By the way, these trend lines are going to be another helpful guide that we use in order to try to get us to exit as close as we can to the top of the peak. Like I've said over and over again, if we could get out within 25% of the high print, that is a job well done. Obviously, we'll try to do our best. Where we are time-based is going to be a huge asset for us, and we will be consulting these trend lines as we get into the fall and into the early winter coming up. But this trend lines that Adam has added over here are a huge asset over here. As long as you're above it, you know that you're holding strongly that bull market phase. Once you break below it, by the way, you have what happens is always after we see that break of a trend line, you have the retest up. The retest up into the trend line, if you did not exit, could be a great place to exit. Here there was actually two retests. You can see over here as this one broke down over here. Remember, price went from 19,500 to about 10,000 and then bounced all the way up here. You could see that happen. I think it was like 18,000 or perhaps higher. It's on that retest that if you did not get that first exit, that you will have time to exit. There's not going to be any type of FOMO on the exit. We're going to be prepared going into it. We're going to have plenty of time to have a situational awareness. We're going to be looking at not only when to exit, and we're going to know our exit ahead of it. You're going to be prepared for it mentally. We're going to be watching it together every day. You'll also know and have your options of what you will or might be exiting into. So this is the first video in a series of videos we're going to be doing, looking at making sure that everyone is prepared for all different types of exit scenarios that we will be watching for, that we will be making sure that everyone knows not only when we are exiting, why we were exiting, they're going to know it ahead of time, they're going to be in there so they're not FOMOing at that exit, exiting too soon, exiting too late. They're going to have that situational awareness. They're going to feel comfortable and calm about exiting as they are about holding their Bitcoin right now, and they'll know what their options are. We'll all know what our options are, what we're going to be exiting into at that time. By the way, it's a good time right now, as this bull market is still early, to make sure that you have onboarded onto multiple exchanges and you have multiple off-ramps as well. You want to make sure that you have multiple options at this point. So I'm grateful to each and every one of you all. I'm grateful to Patrick over here, for Will, for Adam, sharing their work over here so that we could use it together to work together. Those charts can all be found in the description below so that you could download them, watch them yourself. We will be consulting them regularly as this continues to unfold. Everyone, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon.